Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Not Move podcast. We are here to talk the divisional playoff games that occurred yesterday. I'm here with bettors and the man in the booth, JB. Betters, how are you feeling today after an exciting day of football yesterday?
Feeling pretty good, man. How about yourself?
Feeling great, thank you. And JB, how you feeling today?
I'm all right. Ready for more football.
Well, let's break right into it. We're going to get into the first game that we saw yesterday, which was the AFC divisional round playoff game between the Buffalo Bills, who were at Denver, against the Broncos. I got to say, gentlemen, I really liked watching this game. To be a fan, observing from the sidelines, not having my team in the mix. This was a really fun playoff game to watch. Felt
Yeah.
like it had everything. It was back and forth, up and down. The home crowd was incredible to listen to from the television. Josh Allen did his damnedest to bring his team back, just as the NFL was hoping to have scripted. Uh, Betters, let's start off with
hmm
you. What do you think about this first game? Denver 33, Buffalo 30.
We briefly talked about it before we hit the live button, and I think the difference maker were the turnovers. Five turnovers from Buffalo, one by Denver. So I think that's what really won Denver that game. Obviously, there's some other pieces to it, but I remember yesterday you mentioned Dollface Gremlin about how important it was for Denver to force turnovers, force Josh Allen to fumble the ball, which I believe he did at least once, right? So, um, yeah, good call out on that. He lost two. Excuse me. Yeah. So I think that was just the difference maker. What do you guys think about that catch there at the end by Brandon Cooks? Do you think that was a catch or no, guys?
JB, what do you think, man? I have some thoughts on that.
Personally, no, it wasn't. I don't think it was a catch. Dude, was it number 29 or whatever? Denver, was moved like his arm was in there, and he had that ball moving. Um, Actually, gonna see if I can't pull it up. Yeah, so there was movement in the ball, so there was no possession. The wide receiver didn't have possession of the ball at the time. Um, when they came down to land, I mean, the who came up with possession was do with the ball, and that's what I think. Anyways, I think it was rightfully called.
I agree. I mean, this was looked at heavily. It was already, even you have to review everything, whether it's scoring or turnovers. It's what the NFL does. Um, and what do they teach us about a catch, right? They teach us that the full movement now, this is what the NFL has taught us, the full movement through from when you initiate your hands touching the ball until you are
hmm
down. If it's a roll through like this, you have to maintain possession and keep control of the ball. Well, he didn't keep control, and the defender grabbed the ball from him while in the midst of possession. The ball never touched the ground. So,
Yep.
it's a turnover. It is what it is. I know Buffalo Bills fans think they might have got the short end of the stick, refereeing wise in this game, but that particular play, I agree with you, JB. I think it was just. I mean, what do you think, Betters? What's your opinion on that big play?
Yeah, I mean, you guys are right. I think they got that call right too. Uh, he just, he got that ball manhandled away from him, unfortunately, for those Bills fans out there. So,
And that hit by Lufunga on Cook, I honestly don't think any player hold on to that ball the way he hit him. I mean, it was perfect hit. It's just it's what you teach, what you want. You know what I mean? Um, Buffalo, I mean, it's it's not like It's not. I mean, I get it that was the game, like that sealed the deal, like that ended the game. But Josh Allen had 4 turnovers. You know, we were talking in the podcast earlier that he ain't thrown interceptions, but he puts the ball on the ground. And what did he do? Oh, like instantly, like I texted bettors and was like, dude, this is crazy.
I mean, what? He started the second half, 3 plays, and then fumbled the ball.
Yep.
I believe that's how the second half started. It was 3 plays, and then on that third scramble of his, he fumbled the ball because he was carrying it like he was carrying bread around. He wasn't
Yo,
tucking it
yo.
up in. That's that for that particular turnover. That is all 100% Josh Allen's fault. He did not protect the ball. There are certain
Hmm?
times that, we do have to talk about some of the faults of these great quarterbacks in certain situations. And during that situation, a great quarterback in this modern era of football was not very smart. That was a bad play.
Nope.
That was did
Didn't.
not take care of the ball. Now, one thing I know that we should talk about is big game Bo Nix. Unfortunately, there's an unfortunately because this should have been. Wow, Bo Nix played a hell of a football game. We can
Yeah.
erase some of that doubt that anybody thought of him from last year, um, and look what happened. Bettors. Apparently, this young man suffered a broken ankle at the end of the game. Is that? And they're saying possibly on the kneel down. Is that what they're saying? This occurred.
When I was looking at it last night, it looked like it was on the second to last play of the game, from my understanding. There may have been more information to come out about it this morning that I haven't had time to look at. But yeah, from my understanding, second to last play of the game. Very unfortunate for the Broncos. I don't even know how to pronounce their backup quarterback's name.
Oh, it's Jared Stidham. What do
Jared
you mean?
Stidham.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Jared Stidham. He
What do
was
you think about him,
he
JB?
was drafted by what do I think about him? Good luck. We'll be seeing you guys in Cancun next week, Broncos fans. I'm just saying I'm sorry, not sorry. You know what's kind of crazy, and I was texting betters when this happened. I was like, yo, here's the deal. Like, in the podcast, I was like, yo, uh, in a perfect world, both teams lose today. And I was like, but that's impossible because somebody has to win. And somebody did win, but in the scheme of things, both teams lost yesterday. Not only did they just lose, the Bills lose and get knocked out of the playoffs. So, but the Broncos lost their quarterback and they possibly just more than likely got derailed from the playoffs. Like, see you next year, that thing. So I actually was on pretty late last night, and um, I seen something. I'm gonna see if I posted it. I'm pretty sure that I did, and if I didn't, I know exactly where it's at. But Bo Nix, it was reported by Adam Schefter shortly after the game that nope, here it is. Exactly which play it was. I can't really show it because YouTube is stupid. Love YouTube. But it was okay, so here we go. I don't even care. We're gonna do this. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is the play. Bo Nix reportedly.
Back to the 38.
Oh shoot. That's the problem right there is the audio. All right, guys. This is reportedly the play on which Bo Nix broke his ankle. Overtime, fourth quarter, and like you said, yeah, second to last. right in that area, gets up and automatically just starts like limping, goes to the sideline, and is in like tremendous pain. Crazy.
Hmm.
Yeah, dude, it sucks, man. Jarrett Stidham gonna be the Broncos starter for this. It looks like I was looking into like, hey, why can't they go after Cam Newton? Cam Newton was really upset. Look. They looked through the free agency. They looked through everything last night. There's nobody. There's nobody. Philip Rivers is not going to last in that type of offense, right? He ain't going to make it in that play style. So why not? The only person I could think that says he's in football shape and ready to go, that was upset he didn't even get a phone call to even say, "No, I don't want to do it." It's Cam Newton. All they need him to do, I get it. I get it. He can't throw 50 yards. They don't need him to. They lost, bro. It's not even. You guys are even missing this. It's not even that they just lost Bo Nix. They also lost 2 wide receivers yesterday. 2. Troy Franklin and Pat Bryant. That's big
No,
because they're
that's a
already
lot
down.
big.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a lot bigger than Bo Nix to me.
yeah, absolutely. You look at it, man. Like it would be one thing, right, if it was just Bo Nix. It'd be one thing if it was just the wide receivers, right? We could figure something out. Next man up. But you're not only missing just your starting quarterback, but you're missing the rest of your team. I don't know. That worries me. I'd be worried as a Bronco fan. I don't know though. Hey, we seen Nick Foles do it. Now the one thing is like Southgate did look it up, and it says that you are not allowed to do that. The only thing that you can do while in the playoffs is pick up somebody. But back in 2020, that was also generated by AI on Google, right? But back in like I think they said somebody said in 2022. Oh, it was the 2022. I think they said it was the Niners pick somebody up out of retirement. I can't remember. So I don't know. Unless the rules change since then, that'd be the only thing that's like really kind of stopping them.
Y-
But
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, knowing Sean Payton, he's going to try and stick it out with Stidham. He's already acclimated with the offense. Um, Now, with that loss yesterday, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't also they suffer a possible injury to Dre Greenlaw with his hamstring, their linebacker? Broncos suffered quite a few things from that big win yesterday. They did have a couple people go down, but overall, let's talk about how they won this game, right? They controlled the first half. The Broncos really controlled the first half of the game. And it was crazy. We talked about this being a game of possession with A Train, who was joining us. And although the Bills had the time of possession in the first quarter, there was only 2 possessions, one for each team. Uh,
I know.
that was a long time, both of them having the ball. They were just showcasing what they do best. Um, now, betters, you were talking yesterday about the run with Buffalo. Um, wow, what a job they did gashing up the middle of the field against this Denver defense for a total of 183 yards.
Yep, 183 yards. James Cook a buck 17, Josh Allen 66. It's just those turnovers, man. I think that was just really the story of the game here. You know,
Yeah, a lot of turnovers. Denver really did a good job of doing what their defense does, and that's making their opponents make mistakes.
another thing is the sacks. Denver had 3 sacks on Josh Allen, and Buffalo didn't have any sacks on Bo Nix. So great job by Denver. That's one of Denver's strong points. Obviously, their offensive line protects their quarterback really well, and they get after the quarterback really well on the defensive side of the ball. So Denver, yeah, executed really well in that facet.
Yeah, I like what Denver did in the first half. The only thing I didn't really like about Denver was coming out into the third quarter. I didn't like Sean Payton's play calling. I felt it was a bit too reserved at that point in the game. They're ahead. Uh, I believe it was 20-10 at that time when they have the ball, or no, was it 20-17? But he was starts off by calling run plays up the gut when they had not been very successful at that point. But I just didn't like some of Sean Payton's play calling at that point of the game. But you just can't deny what great decision making I think Bo Nix made in the second half of the game. Uh, he had been doing this all year, and I know people like to question young quarterbacks because we haven't seen enough, right? Drake May is going to be the next one on the question mark today. What do we expect from Drake May? Caleb Williams. What do we expect from Caleb Williams? These young quarterbacks. I thought Bo Nix played admirably. He went 26 of 46 for 279, three touchdowns. He did have one interception. But what I liked and what was brought up yesterday on the pod was when he was scrambling, he did a good job of trying to progress and get forward movement when he had to be forced out of the pocket and run. Um, it's good to see Bo Nix get a little bit of shine, even though unfortunately his season is going to be over. But if Denver, say Denver wins the next round, can't forget Bo Nix was a big part of that. Um, JB, what did you think about Bo Nix yesterday? Are you a Bo lever?
Oh yeah, I'm a believer. You know, uh, that's been the question kind of all year with a lot of people. Is it time to believe or anything like that? You know, um, I think it is. He won them the game. The Denver Broncos would not. Let me repeat: the Denver Broncos would not be where they are in the playoffs or alone in their franchise without Bo Nix. It is highly, highly unfortunate for what happened to Bo Nix on the second to last play of the game. Um, should they have handed the ball off? Possibly, but maybe dude, I don't know, slid wrong. Um, it sucks. But one thing, man, this is one thing that kind of like trips me out. I guess it would be, let's see, be two, oh man, it'd be a little over 2 weeks. When did Terrell Owens get ankle surgery?
Oh,
Like how many
let
weeks
me
before the Super Bowl?
see.
I think it was like 2 to 4 weeks. No more. No more. No more than four.
So, for that fractured leg and torn ankle ligament, it was 7 weeks before the Super Bowl.
Okay. Wow. I thought it was a lot shorter than that. Never mind. Hey, wishful thinking. But man, it sucks, dude. Dude doesn't get to play an Ace championship. Um, I will say this though, he has done better than anybody. Well, besides Caleb Williams, I guess Drake Mays, but he's progressed. I don't know. At least Bo Nix brought you to the playoffs last year, and then repeated the second year, got you a little bit further. You know, shown signs of growth. I rather that, to be honest, than anything. But dude, it's unfortunate. Um, I think that their Broncos ride is over with. I think that horse is hit the dust.
I think everybody's gonna think that the Broncos are out of this now. That Bo's done, which makes me like the Broncos even more.
Mm.
I think we'll see. I don't know, man. I like New England. We'll talk about that game here in just a little bit, but um, I wouldn't be surprised to see Denver get into the Super Bowl now.
One thing I like about a team like Denver with what has happened is they get a little factor called nobody believes in us. Like it adds just a tiny chip on your shoulder when you're at practice, when you're planning for these games. Just a little chip.
Nobody.
Nobody believes in us. And with our boy Bo Nix out, maybe that's a little fuel for old Jarrett Stidham in practice to be like, hey, people are already saying we're going to be out because of me. Maybe Jarrett Stidham, maybe he dusts off the shoulders and he comes on out next week against whoever is going to win this game between the Patriots and Texans. Maybe the Broncos too. Nobody believes in us. That goes a long way with a good team. One thing I am concerned about though is still unsure of Sertan. What of Sertan's real injury is going to be, even though he came back in that game. Almost looked like when he tried to tackle Cook there, he separated his shoulder. uh, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but you could just tell his right arm upon trying to tackle
Yeah.
Cook there went limp, and he had to go right to the blue tent. And he might have maybe had to get a little bit of juice in there to make his arm feel better to play the rest of that game.
Oh
But
yeah.
we
He
have
got
to
rocked.
be worried about him. So that defense suffered some injuries as well. But
Yeah, that it did. That it did. They're not going into this game healthy. I mean, obviously. Um, just sucks. Sucks for them. You know. I I'd rather be where I'm at than losing in the playoffs. That sucks. It really sucks. Losing the Super Bowl sucks even worse.
yeah, and this Denver team, I really I liked a lot with Bo Nix at the helm there. I do because it was one of my picks, for to be going all the way, just because I thought I liked the improvement I saw from him during the regular season. I thought he was going to be good enough to do what they needed on the offensive side of the ball, and they had a defense. They still have that defense that is very good. Um, is there
What's that
anything
mean
else?
for yeah, what's that mean for moving forward for the Bills and Josh Allen? McDermott,
Yeah,
you know?
betters. What's your thoughts on the Bills and Josh Allen? Coach McDermott as well has to be talked about here.
Yeah, I think that's it, man. Getting rid of the coach. They got to switch something up, especially now that Mahomes wasn't in the playoffs. Burrow, Jackson. This was supposed to be Josh Allen's time.
Mhm.
So they got to switch something.
One thing I think should be said is if you watch the press conferences from the Bill side after the game, those players really believe in Josh Allen still. They back him
Yeah.
up 110%. So, it's good to see that even amongst a loss like that, especially Josh Allen, look at the guy going out there saying, I didn't do enough, taking ownership. That's what you want to see in your franchise quarterback.
Well,
Someone going
yeah, but I
out
mean,
there.
he had to because this wasn't on. I mean, people can't. I mean, I guess you could say that, hey, it was on the defense in a sense because they did allow them to come back, but he put them in position many times. And but the thing is that he failed with that pass that he threw in the dirt. He failed in this game. This was Josh Allen's fault. This game, this game right here. And did you guys know that going into that game, he was 0 and hold on, hold on. Going into this game, What is it? Going into this game, Josh Allen is 0 for 7 in overtime games. 0 for 7 in overtime games, bro. Majority of those, I believe, are in the playoffs. You know, the whole reason that, like, I mean, I get it. They didn't score on the first go, but that second opportunity he got, where they got that rule change, he still got a second opportunity. He couldn't do it. Josh Allen could not do it. This was Josh Allen going against a top 10 defense, number 1, number 2, and he could not stop them with their number 1 Buffalo Bills passing defense. Denver losing 2 of their starting wide receivers and getting cooked through the air. I don't know, man. I'm just saying. I think this is where I think you got to start reevaluating Josh Allen. Is Josh Allen a regular season merchant? Thea, is he the Josh Allen and Phillip Rivers?
What do you think of all this, Betters? That's some harsh comparisons right now. So early in a guy's career, but they are valid. They are valid to
Hold on,
ask.
hold
These are
on.
valid questions to ask.
Early on in his career, what do you mean? He's in year 8 or 9.
Yeah, I mean, if you're
His
comparing him
career's
to Philip Rivers,
halfway
he's still
over.
got like 10 more years to go.
Phillip Rivers has been retired for 5. Okay. Phillip Rivers hasn't been playing for 20 years. He didn't play 20 years. He played 15. Not even that. I think 17. So he didn't even, he's literally halfway done with his career. And he's in the exact same stat line. He loses in the AFC Championship. And, hey, it might not be his fault. But then again, it might be his fault. I mean, you got 4 turnovers.
So my dispute on that is in the fourth quarter, you have in the overtime specifically, you have the Broncos marching the ball down the field, and then 2 crucial calls happen here, right? Um, which you have to talk about Tre'Davious White really ruining the end of the game for the Bills too. He not only causes a pass interference call, but then immediately after that, very next play is taking his helmet off, slamming it in front of the ref and yelling and stuff. And I get what position they are in, but oh man, that did no favors as well. I mean, to your point, Josh, how did that drive end in overtime? Josh Allen intercepted. So there's
Yep.
that pass. I mean, although, you know, Josh Allen can't do everything, that was his pass. He's not playing defense, but that's him controlling the ball and giving it up in the most crucial point of the game for him and his team.
Mm-hmm.
Betters, what do you think here? What are you thinking for Josh Allen and how this game ended for him?
Man, I just think that Buffalo's got to continue moving forward, continue that belief in Josh Allen. Like you mentioned, he's still relatively young, but I do think that they need to shake things up a little bit. And I think it's probably time for that head coach to go. JB makes a good point, though. He crumbled when it mattered most yet again, and but he's just too talented to give up on.
Yeah, I'm not saying you give up on the guy at
Right.
all by any means necessary. Like you don't do that. Like that's just like saying like, do you give up on Lamar Jackson and move on? No,
Right.
obviously it's Harbaugh. Obviously it's McDermott. It's obviously you got the 2 guys in place with with the quarterbacks. Those are the face of the franchise, not these older coaches, right? multiple times. You've seen in both teams multiple times. They have moved on from positions coach, defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator. They've added pieces around Allen, around Lamar. People want to say it or not, I don't care, but they have. We've seen it. We've seen multiple times. They've had different running backs, they've had different wide receivers. So with that being said, like, I mean, obviously it's got to come down to coach. And I think McDermott is out tomorrow, Monday morning, no later than Tuesday. They got to get on that train to find their coach because people are already shopping.
Yeah, Buffalo Bills might have to see a whole clean house segment here. I mean, Joe Brady, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, Babbage, who knows? Maybe it's a whole cleaning house. One thing, I think the Bills, yes, I think you do. Betters is right. You just got to keep doing what you can with Josh Allen and building off of that. He is the key right now for their offense to keep progressing. They have a good running back in Cooks. Kincaid is still there. You can always bring in other receivers, especially through the draft and later rounds. I know Coleman didn't really live up to expectations this year, but there is always perhaps another year of development will put him in a better position. We have seen receivers rebound very well in the past with just a little bit more time and focus on certain areas where they were lacking. The Bills do need to work on their defense, though. Aside from the passing
Mm-hmm.
defense, they need to work on the rushing defense. The defense really was a big downfall for them this year. JB, what else for the Bills here do you think of besides, we've talked about Josh Allen. What else are the Bills going to need to look forward to hopefully improve the status quo? Basically, is what it is for them, right? Lose in the
Right.
second round, the status quo.
Man, it's they got a lot of stuff, dude. They need to retool. Obviously, I just wonder how that's gonna be with getting a new coach and being this late in their quarterbacks' careers, right? Year 8, 9. It's not like they're young, I mean, and they're gonna go through a rebuilding stage right now because that new coach is gonna come in, tear it apart, what he wants, what fits him, right? I mean, that's what the Ravens owner said. Ravens owner said, Lamar, I'll listen to Lamar, but I got say, I make the decision, not him. I'll listen to him. So um it just makes me wonder how these two concepts are gonna play out. Um, it's way different than the Giants. Young QB, new coach, everybody's young. How does that work, you guys? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm interested to see the Bills free agents coming up and what they have to do, right? Um, I want to know their contracts coming up because I feel like that's going to have a lot to do with where they're going to move. Just glancing and typing it up and getting a generic AI response. They've got Connor McGovern, center, Edwards, guard. Elijah Moore's up this year for 2026, at least what they're saying. Even Joey Bosa. Uh, there's some
Yeah,
question marks for this team. Matt
yeah.
Milano. There's a lot of Tre'Davious White, who I was just talking about earlier, Damar Hamlin. There's a lot of question marks for this team.
Isn't it quite funny how the three top quarterbacks in the NFL, their teams are all kind of going through the same thing, and they kind of got to retool. Got Lamar, Allen, Mahomes. The only difference is Mahomes still got all his coaches, but they're going to be imploding. This team's going to be a different team. just the same as those other two teams. They're going to have new coaches, a new identity, a new culture, a new team. Everything's going to be new for the Ravens and for them. So I don't know, guys. I'm interested to see this. I'm interested to see what's going on this offseason. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
My bad.
No, go ahead. What you got for us?
No.
Bettors, is there anything you want to touch on the Bills before we do one last glance of the Broncos and talk about the 49ers and Seahawks here?
I think you touched on it briefly, that Bills pass defense. We talked about how good they were last season, or excuse me, in the regular season this season, how they ranked second best in passing yards allowed per game. And they let Bo throw for 279 yards. Now, I'll give them some credit because they forced 20 incompletions. Bo had a high volume of passes, but still you gotta do a little bit better than that. If you're this Bills pass defense, I feel like that pass defense really let them down yesterday too.
Yeah, I agree. That was supposed to be their strength, right, guys? And look what happened. You're right. Bo Nix tore them up, especially some of those passes in the second half, specifically those nice, beautiful arc touch passes that Bo Nix was laying in, especially a couple of them that caused those pass interference calls at the end of the game. Those would have been caught passes too. If you look at it, it was a nice throw by Bo Nix. It was put where it needed to be, right in the bread basket, and uh, they were getting gashed. They were getting gashed pretty bad in the passing game. Um, I and Buffalo, they have at least something to build on, something to work out with. It's better to have one of the top five QBs in the league and not know your identity, and possibly not know your identity. You think you're an offensive team, but I mean, can you say that given the game that just happened? Then say be in a different position, say like my favorite team, the Steelers, not knowing who their QB is going to be and a bunch of questions. So Bills have Josh Allen and that for their future to look forward to. Um, Broncos, congratulations. You guys really earned it. That was a well played game, hard fought win. I also noticed, I don't know if you guys did, that was a hard hitting game happening in that first Bills Broncos game. Within the first quarter, seeing just some of the paint fly right off the bat. What did you guys think? I thought that was one of the harder hitting games also of this playoffs.
Yeah. Absolutely. Them Seahawks, dude. They're flying around, bro. They made a statement. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, let's do it. Broncos, we know where you stand. Good luck in your next game. Wow, Seahawks, ladies and gentlemen, the Seahawks put a thumping on their division rivals, the 49ers, 41-6. Wow is all I can say. Was highly wrong about Sam Darnold. They did a great job in not utilizing him so much to keep him protected and make him make good choices. Betters 41-6 Seahawks. What a statement game, right? What a statement game.
Absolutely, man. Yesterday on the podcast, my prediction in that one was 31-13 Seattle. So I guess I underestimated Seattle a little bit and overestimated San Francisco a little bit in that one. But it went just how I was talking about it yesterday on the podcast about how Darnold. I wasn't asking him to come out there and be a gunslinger, right? Come out here, manage the game, take care of the ball. He didn't have any interceptions, any fumbles. So great job there by Sam Darnold. And then I know I think it was you and somebody else, Gremlin. You were talking about Kenneth Walker and or Charbonnet. Charbonnet did okay, I suppose, but yeah, Kenneth Walker, 19 carries, 116 yards, 3 touchdowns. Just a great overall game here from Seattle yesterday, and then just putting the clamps down on San Francisco defensively. Forced that Brock Purdy interception and a fumble. Uh, had another fumble on Tonjes. So just an overall great game by Seattle.
Yeah, man.
Oh, and we
Ah,
were we were skeptical about McCaffrey yesterday. From my understanding, especially with his rushing, held him to 35 rushing yards. He actually had more receiving yards, 39. So, and that's not really a surprise to me considering that Kittle was out. In fact, I thought McCaffrey was going to have more receptions. He was targeted the same amount of times as Tonjes. So, yeah, I think, overall great game by Seattle.
yeah, absolutely was. They showed that they're here, made a statement. Sam Darnold played, better than what a lot expected. I'll tell you that. Um, I'd be happy if I was a Seattle fan right now. Very happy.
And then,
Yeah,
once again, it's not even that Darnold played like good. You know what I mean?
No,
But it just depends
he.
on what you define good as. And just went in there and managed the game.
I mean, I'd say he played good. I wouldn't say he played great, but I'd say he played good. He did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
You did your job. You drove the ship, and that's all we needed you to do.
Now the
I
question
mean,
is, JB, is if they get into a game where Seattle's down by 7 points late in the fourth quarter, the question is, can Darnold, you know, come up clutch in that type of moment? I don't know. I don't know. But hopefully, for Seattle fans and the organization, it doesn't have to get to that point. Hopefully they can.
I I don't know if he can either, right? But here's the deal. That is why they surrounded him with the weapons that they have.
Yeah.
Is because they just need him to do what he did last night. Manage the game, get the ball in your playmakers' hands. Don't turn the ball over. Play defense. Run the ball. We got 2 good running backs. That's playoff football. That's what that pedigree is. I mean, dude's in his second year of coaching and head coaching for the Seattle Seahawks, and he turned that team completely around. He's done an amazing job. Man. The question is, I don't think is teams to win and beat Seattle. I think it's all about disrupting Darnold. Other than that, I think they're the team to beat, and I think that they go all the way. I think they go all the way.
yeah. Darnold yesterday, he took 3 hits total, 2 of them being sacks. And one thing we were wondering about is how would Sam Darnold
Nobody.
respond? Yeah, how would he respond? And look what Seattle did. Clint Kubiak, this is why he's getting all this attention of being a head coach.
Yep.
He
Yep.
keeps Darnold under 20 passing attempts in the game. Under 20
Mm-hmm.
passing attempts. Sam Darnold, 12 for 17, 124 yards. And I want to say 124 efficient yards.
What was the scoreboard?
Yeah, in the scoreboard, 41-6.
And hold
Right?
on a second. I want to go back and look at. I don't want to interrupt you or anything, but you said 124 passing yards. Efficient.
124 passing yards.
How many touchdowns?
1 touchdown.
Mm. I've seen a quarterback play this type of ball before and win championships. As long as he's got a defense, see Mahomes do it. 124 passing yards. Oh, he played like he got outplayed, totally outplayed. Who got the dub? Who got the dub? All he has to do, man, that defense is so good. They're executing. Here's the deal. Look. This is how you know they got championship. Like this team to make it all the way. Darnold's doing what he has to do. That's it. He's managing the game, putting the ball in K9's hands, putting the ball in Walker's or not Walker, but Charbonnet's hands. JSN. Oh, you got the veteran Cooper Cup. Oh, wait a minute. Then you got Rashid Shaheed. Wait a minute. And then he's also, the Seattle Seahawks are also hitting on special teams. They are playing all around football, guys. Defense, offense, special teams. They're hard to beat. They don't have to score a bunch of touchdowns. The quarterback doesn't have to air the ball. They rely on the people that are around them. They are playing as a team, a collective unit. That's championship football, man. That's what it is.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, when you have it firing on all cylinders, like you said, Kenneth Walker the third, 3 touchdowns, some of the easiest touchdowns we were able to see too. That offensive
Mm-hmm.
line, we have to give a lot of credit to as
Yeah.
well for making Sam Darnold feel so
Mhm.
comfortable, for making Kenneth Walker be able to just cut up through the gut and make those great decisions to get into the end zone 3 times. Seattle,
That
like you said, JB, complete team. It's a complete team.
that's why I said yesterday too in the pod is that I thought that the oblique would be all right as long as they could keep him standing upright, and they did. They did. They did exactly what they needed to do. That's all. It's it. All you got to do is protect him and allow him to hand the ball off. Throw a couple little passes. That's what I'm saying with the Broncos and a backup QB. What I'm saying with Cam Newton, they got a team that plays the style of offense that he fits to. I know that his, and I don't mean to go back, but I know that his, he is older, everything like that, guys. I get it. Okay, maybe call up a Cam Newton or a Kaepernick or something. You know, it fits. Their style fits to what Sean Payton is doing with Bo Nix. If it ain't there, he can take off. Just saying. But yeah, I think, man, that game, Seattle's scary, man. They really worry me. I mean, they don't worry me. If I was, yeah, they would worry
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I mean Seattle as well. The defense, we've talked about the offense a lot thus far, but the defense, they forced Brock Purdy to fumble and lose that fumble. They forced him to throw an interception. They forced another fumble from Tongas, who we were talking about was hopefully going to be San Francisco's equalizer in the red zone. He did a decent job when called upon, except for that one play where the fumble was lost. Um, San Fran could not do anything against this defense yesterday. Every time you thought there was some forward momentum happening, that Seattle defense just started to swallow them up. Bettors, what did you think when you were watching that Seattle defense control the game?
Mm, yeah, man. So they caused those turnovers. Like I mentioned before, that's huge, much like Denver did against Buffalo. And I think they zoned in on McCaffrey just really well, held him to 35 rushing yards, 39 receiving yards. Um, and, man, I think Seattle's the real deal here, like JB talked about too. The special teams. Shout out Rashid Shaheed, man. I mentioned him yesterday on the show, possibly returning a kickoff for a touchdown. I didn't expect it to be the opening kickoff. So, I mean, that was just a great start instantly getting your home crowd involved in the game. I'm sure everybody was going crazy. Stadium was rocking. And that's about all I have to say about the game.
Yeah, and now the 49ers have a lot of questions that they have to face after this game as well. Another coach kind of on the hot seat himself, and Shanahan here. We also have some pieces that you have to take a look at as well, such as CMC, George Kittle, who's oft injured. Brock Purdy, is this the quarterback that you think is the one for the franchise moving forward? Seems like San Francisco has a lot of questions. JB, what do you think is the biggest question on their mind right now following this big
Um,
loss?
it's the power substation supply plant that's next to them. So I found out last night. So guess what? I found out last night that they were already like, so there was like a $30 million lawsuit and or charge, whatever. The place is already supposed to be moved. That plant that we were talking about, the electrical plant, right?
Hmm.
Okay. What did I believe? What was it? It was A Train that said it yesterday in the podcast, or was it you, Gremlin? Somebody said that it's like they've been sacrificing other players
I think it was A Train. Yeah.
to keep CMC healthy, and then yesterday somebody in the chat said that they ran out of players to sacrifice. And that's why CMC went down. But you seen there was another Achilles tear in that game.
Ah,
And people started bringing that up, dude. And I'm telling you, dude, that stuff's gonna gain a lot of momentum this offseason, dude. Um, I don't know, man. 49ers, dude, they need to move. That's what it is. Because no matter what, I think that's the reason why what's his face still has his job too. Shanahan. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
yeah. This is a team where we've seen this coach have success, right? We have seen it
Mm-hmm.
have success with them in a different form of the 49ers. Some of the pieces are the same,
Yep.
but overall it's a different form of the 49ers. And so it's one of those things. Do we look at Shanahan in the same way we kind of look at LaFleur? Shanahan's been there since 2017. They've been to the Super Bowl
Yep.
twice and lost under his tenure.
Yep.
Shanahan has proven that he can take this team to the Super Bowl and compete. It's only been 2 years since he's been there with Brock Purdy at the helm. CMC on that same team. Uh, but there's just something that can't get him over the hump right now. And I don't think it's Shanahan. I think he's doing a great job with what he's been given. You look at some of what he's had to go through offensively with the quarterback kind of carousel. Jimmy Garoppolo was injured a good amount. There were times where he was fine, but overall, you've had him injured where he's sticking in Nick Mullins. They GM makes a move for Trey Lance. It just doesn't work out. But what does Shanahan do? He thrives. Seems like Shanahan thrives when players are injured or the chips are against him. So I don't think he's an issue. Uh, Bettors, if you're looking at this 49ers roster after this loss, um, I mean, my personal opinion, I think I like the offense. It's just once again, what are the small pieces that you can change, right? What pieces can you move or change out that are going to be more successful?
Defensively, when I was looking at this game yesterday, San Francisco was more vulnerable to that pass than the rush, and they got eaten up on the ground. They allowed 175 yards on the ground. So, going into this offseason, they have to clean that up. I guess on both sides, on the rush defense and pass defense. Even though Darnold, I know yesterday didn't accumulate a ton of passing yards, but I feel like if he needed to, he very well could have. And George Kittle, man, how many times have we seen him injured? I mean, I don't know how many times he's been unavailable throughout the playoffs, but it just seems like he's always injured, and your best ability is availability, right? And I think it's maybe it's time to move on from him, and so you can get some other pieces. I'm not sure about the contract and all of that. You guys probably know about that stuff better than I do, JB specifically. But you know they gotta they gotta have Kittle out there,
Yeah.
or a different put that money elsewhere.
I think, like I said, I think they got to start with, look, as long as that problem is there at that stadium, they're going to forever have problems. No matter if they, no matter how they, no matter how you code it, they're still like you can bandage it, bandage it, and bandage it, and bandage it. But no matter how many times you bandage it, you still have a cut. You still have a broken bone. You still have a problem. So you could change people. You could, I guarantee you, get rid of that whole team and bring in a whole new team, and you give it a couple of years, and you're back in the exact same position. Nothing's ever going to get better until you fix the problem, right? Like you're always going to have a leak in the faucet or in your hose until you get a new hose. You can only fix it so many times and cover that hole so many times. You know, um, so I don't think it's really necessarily the players. I mean, I think they're just in a rut. Um, Now let's imagine that place doesn't exist and the injuries that they've been having don't exist. I mean, I'd say first and foremost, um, like get rid of the whole, like get rid of the whole like the team doctors and everything. New rehab, all that new. Um, but they kind of got screwed over with that wide receiver. You know what I'm saying? Um, Over there in what you call it? Oh man,
Talking about Debo Samuel.
no, Brandon Ayuk.
Oh, Ayuk.
Yep. They've had some unfortunate events. You know what I mean? Um, it sucks, man. I just I don't know. I really don't see anything changing or really going anywhere until any of that happens. I mean, they're old. You got CMC hurt again at the end of the year. What's going to be next year? Is he going to play? How well is he going to be? All right, Day. I appreciate it. There's a lot of question marks over there. I mean, I agree with bettors though. I mean, you want to get younger, clean house, start moving some stuff because I mean, they're going to be in a position at some point where like what do you do from here on out? People are getting older. Clock's ticking.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about it. Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey is now will be entering his 10th year starting next year. At 30 years old, he will be turning 30. On his contract, he is signed through 2027, so at least two more seasons. And obviously, we know the old adage next year's an even year. So stay away from Christian McCaffrey. But seriously, Christian McCaffrey, something that has to be looked at. Is this contract going to be worth it? Yes, this year it was worth it, but since he's been in San Fran, it's been up year, down year, up year. Maybe next year is the down year. George Kittle, like Betters was talking about, I am in total agreement with you, Betters. Something has to be looked at with him. He's signed through, unfortunately, 2029, and he comes at a 19.1 cap hit. And with the injury he just took. That's a unfavorable contract to even try and get traded. Um, George Kittle. We're looking at a tight end who is going to also be entering the 10th year of his career, but his age, he's 33, and in tight end years, that's not very good, especially with the style he plays. Um, that's not a favorable contract, but one guy we also have to look at is Brock Purdy. He has been someone that has been a topic of conversation a little bit this year, just given how when he was injured and Mac Jones had to come in, it seemed like the offense ran just as flawlessly with Mac Jones at the helm as Brock Purdy. Um, Betters, I want to talk with you about Brock Purdy. Yesterday we saw him make a lot of mistakes. He did make a lot of mistakes but can we hold it against him that he's facing a very good Seattle defense? We do some of these things have to be taken into account. This isn't the same San Fran team that it was last year, or the year before. What-
It does. I like Brock Purdy. Um, he, to his credit, like you mentioned, Seattle defense is really good. Uh, they rank ninth in passing yards allowed per game and third best in rushing yards allowed per game. Also, he didn't have one of his top weapons, George Kittle. He doesn't really have receivers. I mean, he's got McCaffrey, right? But Jawan Jennings, I suppose he's all right. But I'm just going down the list here. No shade on any of these names here, but such as Demarcus Robinson, Kendrick Bourne, Ricky Pearsall. I just, they don't have a JSN. They don't have Devonte Adams or Nakua or one of these top receivers. So, and when don't get Christian McCaffrey going on the ground rushing, that's a problem as well. So I'm not going to hold everything against Brock Purdy in this one. Um, I think he's pretty solid. Just need to get some healthy pieces around him,
how about
and
you, Jay?
maybe another a different upgrade at the wide receiver position. JB was talking about Ayuk not being there anymore. Debo is now gone. Those guys were real elusive, and I don't see that from anybody else like those two impacted the 49ers.
Yeah, I mean, Demarcus Robinson, he had a very good game the week before, but Seattle just shut him down this game. He wasn't able to be used at all. And to your point, Juwan Jennings, Kendrick Bourne, Ricky Pearsall, guys like this, like they're decent receivers, right? Some could be the potential of a good number two. We're looking at like a lot of, in reality, not to demean anybody, but number three looking receivers. We're looking at receivers that should be getting number three action instead of some of the number one action that they're getting. And you are right. Without George Kittle, the receiving is just not as good. The key was Christian McCaffrey. They got swallowed up, but um, why do you suppose then that it isn't they're not able to get some of these guys involved on a regular basis? Is it talent? Is it Brock Purdy? Because sometimes I think Brock Purdy yesterday, what I saw was a quarterback who was just unsure of himself. Um, and this is the same quarterback who took this team to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. It's a little different. Brock Purdy looked shook yesterday, and that's not something that normally you see in that space for him.
Yeah, and how old is he? He's still relatively young, right? 26 years old.
Oh yeah.
Mm,
So, you're not going to come out and play perfectly every single playoffs. I mean, how many times did Michael Jordan go to the playoffs and lose? So um, it just happens. It's a part of the game, and he's got a bright future. Just keep your head up and keep moving forward.
Yeah, and 49ers just taking a quick glance at their upcoming free agents for 2026. Looks like they have Jawan Jennings, Kendrick Bourne, and Sky Moore is what I'm being shown here that are free agents for the wide receiver core. Spencer Burford, Ben Barch, Hennessy off the offensive line, their D line, Jordan Elliott, Kevin Givens, Kalia Davis, Yator Grossmatos, and then but players of note, maybe not too many. The running backs, Brian Robinson Jr., Patrick Taylor, but as we've seen in the past, running backs can be found in the draft anywhere, really. So this could be a year where they could maybe move some money around or see what they could do with a Christian McCaffrey contract. That's some big money to move around, especially given I don't think they're ever going to entertain the idea of moving George Kittle, especially given he's injured right now. And they seem like overall pretty stand up organization in the time, and they haven't done something like dirty like that to a player in a while. So I think we're just going to see movement in other areas for the Niners, and um, we're probably going to see maybe another coordinator change with them. Who knows? But Seattle, congratulations. What a thumping to put on your opponent. Seattle is the real deal. We all suspected as much. Bag and I had let that doubt of Sam Darnold creep into our mind yesterday and influence our pick on picking the 49ers. So, congratulations, Seattle. Seattle, no tall task coming up with today's game, Rams and the Bears. Is there anything, JB, is there anything else we want to touch on with Seattle?
No, 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 nope, nope, nope. I'm ready to move on.
Well, let's talk real quick. All of you guys, thanks for joining us. We got some stuff we want to get through. Check us out. Check our sponsors, BetUS, MyBookie.ag, and our NFL shop, our MLB shop, our Walmart shop, W Energy Drinks. If you use code not moved with W Energy Drinks, you're going to get the hookup with MyBookie.ag. If you use that code not moved, JB, what's the percentage that we're going to get helped out with on MyBookie.ag?
100 and up to 125% deposit match on your first 3 deposits.
That's awesome. Guys, you really do got to take advantage. Go through our Walmart store. If you're going to your local Walmart to do a pickup or even just to go inside and grab some stuff, go through our store. We've got stuff through our storefront for Walmart that you can get through Not Moved. Typical everyday items. You'll get a percentage off. You'll get some money off. Our NFL shop, our MLB shop. Check out the jerseys. Check out the items through there. You'll get a small percentage off of, and we're always willing to help out with getting you energy on W Energy Drinks. They're good, they're tasty, and if you're going through them, you use that code not moved, you're going to get a little special something off with that as well. Um, we've got games today, fellas, and we've got important games. The first one being coming on in the afternoon at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. We have the Houston Texans at the New England Football Patriots. Uh, guys, this game is really right now for me. It's been up in the air. I know a lot of people keep talking about that awesome Houston Texan defense. Number one defense that has just been lights out for the last part of the season. We watched the Texans really do a great job heading into the playoffs, full steam ahead. But against a well coached team in the New England Patriots, Patriots have been on fire to end the season as well, especially with year 2 quarterback Drake May. Drake May has been on fire this year. He is a real deal MVP contender. He should be considered for the MVP this year, aka the quarterback award, because they apparently only want to give it to quarterbacks. So for this game, guys, it's going to be played in New England, cold weather game. I've already been talking to some of my friends up there. The snow might be coming in. Bettors, we're looking at Houston at New England. What do you like about this game?
Well, yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned weather. So let's talk about that first and foremost. I'm looking at rotogrinders.com, ROTO grinders.com/weather/NFL. Let me update this to make sure I have the latest update. Um, Obviously, I would use more than one source, but this is the source that I do like to use first and foremost. What they're saying on here is conditions at the start of the game look decent enough, maybe some flurries or light snow. The snow will gradually crank up throughout the game. And by later in the game, it should be a legit snow game. Winds throughout the game stay light. So passing is still on the table, is what they're saying here. So, and I also want to go and look at any injury updates offensively. Nico Collins, wide receiver for the Houston Texans, is out due to a concussion. That's a big blow to this Houston team. Um, Nico Collins is the touchdowns leader for this team. So that would be, equivalent of the Rams, not having maybe Devontae Adams or something like that. But let's see what else here. That looks like the biggest notable injury that I see in this game. And then, when I'm looking at, I like to look at, passing yards per game, passing yards allowed per game for both teams. Same with the rushing yards. And, I do give New England a statistically slight passing advantage in this game, a good sized rushing advantage, a slight third down conversion advantage, a slight red zone conversion advantage, slight red zone attempts per game advantage. There are two advantages I would give Houston, though, and they're big advantages: a big sacks on the quarterback advantage and a big turnover differential advantage. So I think those will be the keys for Houston to stay competitive in this game, is to get after Drake May and force some turnovers. Um, but New England likes to run the ball. And the fact that it's a potential snow game, well, likely to be a snow game, makes me, when I think of snow, I think of who's going to be better at running the ball. Now, sometimes we see, some big play passing still, but the first thing I like to look at is who's going to run the ball better. Like I mentioned, New England likes to run the ball with their play calling percentage. They rank 26th in passing play percentage. So there are not a whole lot of teams in the NFL that call a higher percentage of rushing plays than New England. And when you look at Houston's defense, they have a good rush defense. They rank second best in rushing yards allowed per game. So I think that's the big question here. Is Ramondre Stevenson and or Travion Henderson going to be able to, pick up some quality gains in this game? If not, will Drake May be able to effectively pass the ball against Houston, who ranks fifth in passing yards allowed per game? Like you mentioned, Dollface Gremlin, this is a good Houston defense, and they don't have too many flaws. When I'm looking at the Houston defensive flaws, something that I see is rushing yards allowed to quarterbacks. They allowed the ninth most rushing yards to quarterbacks this season. So I think Drake May, it'll be advantageous for New England to get him rushing the ball in this game. And then I would say Houston's next biggest vulnerability relative to other teams in the league is going to be receiving yards allowed to running backs. So when I'm looking at, who is the pass catching back here for New England, is it Stevenson? Is it Henderson? I'm seeing that they've been targeted about the same, but Stevenson has accumulated many more receiving yards. In fact, Stevenson has one less reception and almost one less reception and 190 extra yards than Travion Henderson does. Stevenson also has an extra one more touchdown reception than Henderson does, which is an added benefit for anybody who possibly wants to take Stevenson for an anytime touchdown today. So yeah, I think those are the two keys for New England today. I think Drake May's got to run the ball, and Stevenson and or Henderson, pick up some decent yards receiving. I don't want to take up all the mic time at one time. What are your guys' thoughts on this? JB, what do you think the key is for New England today? To be successful?
Yeah, to be successful. No. Dude, they're going to have to protect Drake May. They got to slow down that pass rush. Houston, obviously.
Hey JB, you're a little muffled.
Saying, you hear me better?
Yep.
All right. Houston has the ability to get after the quarterback with just, two personnel, right? Or not two personnel, but three down linemen. Okay. They rush three, they're getting at you. So they need to slow down that pass rush from Houston. I think they gotta utilize that running game and then two running backs, right? Get them going early and often, play action, hit the running backs from, out the backfield. And they gotta make what's his face Stroud uncomfortable. Get after him early. I feel like if you hit Stroud early, you hit him good, he's completely rattled. He reminds me of a old school wide receiver going over the middle. Once he gets hit, bell rung, he's done. So I think those are the keys for New England.
Yeah.
When
Yeah. And, like I mentioned, New England likes to call a higher percentage of rushing plays than other teams in the league. So I think it's important for New England to continue to do what they like to do, and that's run the ball. And, Drake May, this is a big moment for him. As a team, I feel like New England has to somewhat put the burden on their shoulders a little bit and step up for Drake May in this game, defensively and, rushing the ball. And that way it takes a little bit of pressure off of that young quarterback. Now, I see a comment here in the chat that says, how does the red zone defense for the Patriots play into effect in this game? Let me take a look at the red zone defense. Yeah, so New England does rank 27th in opponent red zone conversion rate. So when teams are entering the red zone against New England, they are converting touchdowns at a high rate. Luckily for New England, Houston is not great at converting touchdowns when they enter the red zone. Houston ranks 29th in that red zone conversion rate. And when I say red zone conversion rate, I'm talking about touchdowns only. So, I think luckily for New England, they have a team that's not great at capitalizing in the red zone. So the question is, will New England allow explosive plays, right? And in my notes here, and let me just double check this. I'm going to look here at NFL.com. Let me filter this by defense. Let me see how many big plays, real quick, New England is allowing to opposing teams. So they allowed the second fewest 40-plus yard receiving gains this season, and that's New England's defense. And the rushing attack, they allowed one singular 40-plus yard rushing gain this season. So they've limited explosive plays well. And I think Houston, if they want to win this game, they have to convert when they enter the red zone. But here's the thing, is that people may criticize New England's red zone defense, and that's fair. But what about the fact, and I understand that they may not have played the toughest teams in the NFL, but they rank first in opponent red zone attempts per game. So they're keeping their opponents out of the red zone, even though their teams are successful when they're entering the red zone against against New England. Once again, luckily for New England, Houston hasn't been great at converting those touchdowns when they enter the red zone. Also, Houston hasn't been great at getting red zone attempts. They rank 19th in red zone attempts per game. So, with that being said, I think I think Houston is going to have a tough time scoring today. You guys disagree? Agree?
I totally agree. I think Houston's going to have a hard time getting in zone offensively. Defensively, I think it's another story.
Then you add some, maybe their defense scores another touchdown. Heck, last game that they played.
Well, one thing I do want to
into the mix, right? Houston plays in a dome, from my understanding, right? And now you're traveling to New England in the snow. I'm concerned about their offense.
Well, one thing I do want to say about Houston is the good thing is the Patriots allowed the 10th most. They were tied for actually 9th most sacks in the league this year. So Drake May is gettable. That's a big thing with Houston's defense, is they can get you. Last week was not even an accurate view of how good Houston is, because they played a Pittsburgh Steelers team that really was not up to the task. Watching that offense sputter against such an elite defense, you can just tell it's not like playing the Patriots. So while the Patriots do allow up some sacks, that's where Houston thrives. They were ranked 24th in allowing sacks with only 31 on the year. So CJ Stroud can get some time back there. And if CJ Stroud can get a little bit of time, he might be able to make a difference. I think that's where Houston, they have to take advantage. It's the offense. They got to be offensive in this. If their defense continues to play the way it does, they'll be fine. But, they need to rely on that offensive line to protect Stroud still. And hey, Kirk is still there. They may have an injury, but Kirk did a great job last week. And once again, against a down Steelers defense, but next man up scenario, right?
Yeah. And I talked about what I thought New England should be doing here, right? Do what you do best offensively, or like to do, which is run the ball. And then, when you're passing the ball, get it out to Travion Henderson and or Stevenson, and also Drake May, run the ball a little bit today. And I think that's going to be the key offensively here for New England. Instead of, utilizing these wide receivers and tight ends. We'll get into it, though. I mean, I could see Hunter Henry having a touchdown in this game. We'll get into the touchdown stuff here in just a second. But I want to talk about Houston a little bit and what I think they, should do. They have a pretty balanced play calling style. Houston ranks 16th in passing play percentage. So relative to other teams in the league, they're very balanced with their play calling, running versus passing. New England, great defense. They rank 7th in passing yards allowed per game. They rank 6th in rushing yards allowed per game. So, in Houston, they rank 14th in passing yards per game, 22nd in rushing yards per game. So, really, relative to other teams in the league, Houston passes better than what they rush. And when I'm looking at New England's passing flaws, I'm trying to, spot a flaw in this New England defense with their passing game, and that's going to be receiving yards allowed to tight ends. They ranked 11th worst in that category. So I think getting Schultz involved for Houston today is going to be key for their success. And then receiving yards allowed to running backs, New England was about average, which is still one of their flaws though. So when I'm looking at Houston, I believe it's Woody Marks who's going to be their primary pass catching back. Yeah, 36 targets this year, three receiving touchdowns. Like I said, we'll get into the touchdowns here in a second. I think Woody Marks, has to, much like Stevenson and or Henderson for New England, I think they need to get Woody Marks involved in the passing game a little bit here today. And I think they have a pretty tall task ahead of them. Houston does. But I can talk about these touchdowns real quick. And the reason why I brought up Hunter Henry is because he has played 3 regular season games against Houston and has scored a touchdown in all 3 of those games. And when I'm looking at where Houston is most vulnerable relative to other teams in the league at allowing touchdowns to a specific position, their biggest vulnerability is to that tight end position. So I would not be surprised. I called Kincaid yesterday, and I'm going to go back with the tight end in this early game today. Hunter Henry, man, I think that's a real good look for an anytime touchdown here today, statistically speaking. And then on the flip side, for Houston, I want to see where New England is most vulnerable, and by a long shot, New England was most vulnerable to wide receivers catching touchdowns on them. So, I mentioned Nico Collins is the touchdown leader for Houston, and he's out. That's another big thing. So I feel like, Higgins, he's the next man up. He's the next touchdown leader on Houston. He's a wide receiver. That would be my first look if I were considering taking a Houston anytime touchdown. Would be Higgins, that wide receiver. And then just so you guys know, Hunter Henry, not only has he scored in all 3 career games against Houston, regular season games, but other than the running backs for New England, Henderson and Stevenson, he is that top, that next man up for touchdowns leader for New England. And he does have the most receiving touchdowns for New England. So I think that's a pretty good look here today. What do you guys think maybe about touchdowns?
Man, me, to be honest, man, I'm going with the same ideology that I've been going by the last couple of weeks. And it's not going to be who you think it is, right? In my head. So
Right. A lot of eyes are going to be on these two games today, right? I mean, look at yesterday,
yeah,
baby. Look at yesterday. I mean, how many, you know, guys that we didn't mention on the show scored touchdowns
that's
yesterday?
that's what I'm saying, and that's what I made known yesterday too. I said, look elsewhere. Like I know, so like in my head, I know, like if I'm looking at the Patriots and Houston game, honestly, like everybody's gonna really be picking not necessarily picking
Mm-hmm.
the focus point. Like we have to
Yeah.
think of like what's going on in the game. The focal point is obviously going to be Hunter Henry, Stephon Diggs, Trayvon Henderson, Stevenson, right? Like so who else do I see on here? Butte,
Oh yeah, yeah. I got a feeling that Butte, might do a little something today.
Austin Hooper's on here.
Yeah, all that
Mario
attention,
Douglas.
all that
Okay.
attention on Hunter Henry. Next thing you know, Hooper is finding
Yeah.
his way in
No,
the
like
end zone. He has 2 touchdowns this year. Hooper does.
I think that you got to think outside the box in these
Yeah.
games.
Yep.
Um, especially with it being such a great defense, right? They're going to be scheming to make you beat them with other players, right? So, and honestly, I wouldn't be looking at like a lot of touchdown scorers, guys. Like try to find you a few and maybe, like three, and maybe mix them up with some yards and receptions and stuff like that because dude, I mean, besides last night's game, I mean, this game might be different, because New England has a little bit more of an offense, but oh man, they're pretty evenly matched. They really are.
And I do just want to mention another thing about Hunter Henry. He has the 6th most red zone targets out of any player this season. Not for his team. I mean, he leads his team in red zone targets. But yeah, man.
Like Butte is only plus 380. Like, uh,
And Butte has scored a touchdown in his only career game against Houston.
see, what about yeah, Douglas?
I would say, Houston's next biggest vulnerability relative to other teams in the league at allowing touchdowns is going to be rushing touchdowns allowed to running backs. So, I won't be surprised to see Stevenson and or um,
Hmm.
Anderson find their way into the end zone. But if you guys want to get even sleepier, want to take it to the next level here, receiving touchdowns allowed to running backs is going to be their next biggest vulnerability relative to other teams in the league. And uh, Stevenson, I think that gives Stevenson a little bit of extra upside for a touchdown today because he has one more receiving touchdown than Henderson does. Although Henderson does have an extra rushing touchdown than Stevenson does. And
So right now on DK, I like going to like the receptions and yards sometimes like that. And right now, uh, Henderson, he averages two receptions per game, and he's plus 176 with two receptions. So I mean, there's some. I think that's good money right there. Austin Hooper too. I like that. Maybe
I'm
maybe
looking
not.
at Hooper. I'm looking at Hooper right now. He has never scored a touchdown in 6 career games against Houston. Now anything can happen any given
That
Sunday, right? But
yeah, those are just for receptions as personal player. Hey, that's just receptions, like two receptions a game or whatnot. But I like it.
yeah, I mean, if I were looking for player props for like yardage, I'd be looking at the receiving yards. I think for Stevenson, I think I mentioned that already. And
Hmm.
then this is for New England side of the ball here. And then Drake May's rushing. Those are the two biggest vulnerabilities here. And then And then Houston, I think it's going to be best to attack, you know, the New England receiving yards allowed to running back. So whoever I mentioned earlier, that's good at receiving for Houston with their running back, Woody Marks, receiving props, and then Schultz receiving yards.
Yeah. I like over there for their touchdown scores. I like Marks. I do. Probably a Schultz, but I like Hutchison
And
and Kirk Christian Kirk.
you know what else I like to do, man, is and you touched on this, JB. Sometimes you got to think outside of the box, especially in these games that are basically primetime games. There's only 2 games on today, a lot of eyes on these games. So sometimes, we got to do things to just that everybody else isn't doing, So, but yeah, statistically, those players I mentioned is, for people that really just like going by statistics, that's what looks good here today for me.
Yeah, now something I want to point out about the Patriots last game, something that I would look for is anything to do with sacks for the Texans defense, right? The Patriots, even though they won that game last week, they allowed 5 sacks on Drake May. He fumbled twice and lost one of those. So that might be something to look into as far as going just straight up looking into wagers for the Texans defense. But also New England's defense is no slouch. We have to take that into account. They put 6 sacks on Justin Herbert last week. And I believe he fumbled twice as well, without having the stats directly here in front of me. Yeah, Justin Herbert fumbled twice and lost one of those. So New England's defense, no slouch. But I really like Jaden Higgins for the Texans, possibly. I know he's a rookie, and I think maybe that's the next man up philosophy, right? You're missing one of your number ones. Maybe Jaden Higgins, this is his time to shine as a rookie. So that's someone who I'm hoping we could look to possibly get a touchdown today.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in that same boat with you there. And, we talked about this yesterday on our show, and I want to bring it up again here today. And I want to just talk about Sean Smith, the head ref in this game. I looked and saw that Houston has a 5-1 record when Sean Smith is the head ref, and New England has a 3-4 record when he is the head ref. So, just based on that alone, Houston has an advantage in my eyes. These 2 teams haven't played against each other when Sean Smith was the head ref, but that's another aspect, about this game that I think that we need to take into consideration here. Personally, I like New England in this game. I'd give a correct final score prediction of 31-13. I think New England handles business today, much like Seattle did last night.
Wow. All right. You know what? I am gonna go Texans. I think maybe this Texans team is gonna get their act together on offense for this week. And I think the defense is gonna hold strong. It's going to be a cold game, right? You brought up
Yep.
that weather betters. You brought up the snowstorm that might be possibly hitting that field from what you said the second half on, right?
Yeah. It looks like we're going to have a true snow game. Specifically in the second half is what I was saying. Yeah.
So let's hope there's no tuck rule shenanigans here with this game. Let's hope there's no typical New England snow shenanigans.
Well, as of right
now,
as of right now, I see live feed, and it's crystal clear weather. I'm looking right at the field right now.
Crystal clear right now. We still got, well, we do have an hour a little over an hour before kickoff. So yeah, we've got plenty of time to see if that's going to
Hmm.
change. I'm still
There's
picking the
some
Texans.
clouds. There are clouds in the sky. There are clouds in the sky. Right.
So it might be coming in. I'm picking the Texans 17-10.
And they are snow clouds. They are snow clouds. They are. Um, this one is really tough for me because like you could see the narrative having New England start their roll back through the playoffs. Dynasty, Vrabel, ex-player, now coach. The rebirth and reincarnation of Tom Brady into Drake May. Um, you know, but here's the thing is I have seen this type of Mike Vrabel team before. I've seen Mike Vrabel take Ryan Tannehill to the AFC Championship game with Derrick Henry and AJ Brown with good defense. Defense. And guess what? He got packed up. My thing also is this is defenses win championships. Right? Um who has the better defense here? Houston. Right?
Yeah, I would say
Statistically,
Statistically, yeah. On and off paper. There's no other team in the NFL that can put three men on the field and get to the quarterback.
here's my thing about that, though. I do think Houston has a better defense, but I think New England has a better offense than Houston. And I think New England's offense, the difference between Houston's offense, excuse me, the difference between New England's offense and Houston's offense is greater than the difference between New England's defense and Houston's defense.
On paper, right? What it has been throughout the regular season, right? Because that's what you're going off of, right? But as we all know, regular season stats get you to the playoffs, and then after that, nothing about the regular season. I mean, you have trends and stuff like that kind of carries over, but even then, a lot changes. A lot changes in playoff football. You only have to be. I mean, go look. For instance, go look. Look, check it. The New York Giants, when they went to the Super Bowl and won as wild card, not once but twice, were complete underdogs.
Yeah.
Their offense was, and it was exactly what you just did. They were always lesser than, right? So I think that the Houston Texans are more built for this style of football. They are built to win closer games, to do exactly what we just seen the Seattle Seahawks do last night.
see,
I
one
think
thing,
the Houston Texans win this game due to it being kept close, defense just like Seattle, and Houston makes a statement. Houston's going to let you know that, yeah, we are missing some pieces, but we're no punk and we are here because, like I said, this is what they like to do. They can, if they can, they need short field, okay? Short field advantage, whether that's having them turn the ball over, punt the ball. They have to execute on special teams, get close field advantage, field advantage, and they got to keep New England away from field goal range. I believe that's their keys to winning the game. and I believe that they got to execute with turnovers when Houston make commit takes the ball away from New England. They got to execute. They got to do the exact same thing. They can do it. They can do it.
JB, I heard you mention punting. Patriots have averaged the most punt return yards out of any team this season, and the Texans have punted the fourth most times out of any team this season. I mentioned Rashid Shaheed yesterday, possibly having a kickoff return advantage. He ends up taking one to the house. I'm not necessarily saying that that's going to happen here again today, but what I am saying is that I think that the Patriots in that punt game can absolutely shorten the field, considering that Houston punts the ball a lot, and the Patriots have averaged the most punt return yards per return this season. And then I also look at this in a historical context, right? Any given Sunday, but just the New England organization trounces anything that Houston has done as an organization. How many Super Bowls does New England have compared to Houston? I do think that is worth consideration. But at the end of the day, these are two teams going at it in the 2026 playoffs. This isn't back in the early 2000s anymore. So I'm really looking forward to this game. I've been high on Houston all season, or not Houston, on New England all season. I don't like New England just as much as the next person, but I got to give credit where credit's due. I think this is a real professional team. I like the way Drake May carries himself for his age, and I know a lot of people don't think that New England have played, the greatest teams throughout the season. And maybe you're right about that, but that's about all I have to say about it. I like New England in this one, but I was wrong about Buffalo yesterday, right? And I figured that'd be a pretty good game. Got the Seattle game right, but I was wrong on the first game yesterday, guys. So I'm not.
Yeah, I one thing I do want to say about Houston, because I do agree with you, New England as an organization, given their history, we just think so highly of them. They are
Yeah.
really a prestige franchise for a fact. Um, Houston is a more seasoned team right now. They've been in the playoffs the last 3 years and have played a minimum of 2 games each time. Mike Vrabel is only 3-3 all time in the playoffs. Mike Vrabel is only just an average coach in the playoffs from what we have seen and what he has presented us. This team is young, so that's what I think is going to favor in Houston. Is they have experience of playing in the playoffs. Yeah, they got beat up on by the Ravens in 2023. That team was very good, and then last year, of course, they lost to the eventual Super Bowl contenders for the AFC in the Chiefs. And that game only was 23-14. It was a lot closer than what people predicted that game to be. So for me, I think I'm picking the Texans because of the seasoned aspect. I feel like D'Amico Ryan has got this team saying, why not us? It's another team that has the chip on their shoulder factor, is where this is another team that they throttled Pittsburgh, the team that shouldn't have even been in the playoffs, and they showed, yeah, you guys shouldn't even be in here with us. And I think this team has that chip on their shoulder to say, why not us? Why not a great defensive team? Why can't we do this? And I think that's influencing, like I said, my pick, and it's going to be a close one, low scoring, close game, in my opinion. But I'm excited, just as you are. I like Drake May as a quarterback, so I'm interested to see how he fares in the playoffs.
You make a good point about the experience factor there that Houston has over New England, and that's a good statistic to look at. But like I mentioned earlier, Drake May, you couldn't tell that, at least I couldn't, that this is his second or third year in the NFL. Looks like he's been out there for 10 years. So, I'm gonna rock with Drake May here, and And that's about all I got to say about this game. But yeah, good point, man.
So the last game we got, fellas, is a big one. I think this is the game we are all really anxious as fans to see. We've got Chicago Bears and the Rams, the NFC. This game starts at 6:30 Eastern
Oh
time, the
yeah.
proper time. We have the Chicago Bears playing at home in front of the Bears fans out there, the Chicago Bears fans.
Go Bears.
Rams coming in off of a thrilling game against the Eagles. Rams coming in off of a win. Bears coming in. How about them Bears last week, guys? How about them Bears last week? I'm impressed. Ben Johnson's got him fired up. This is you don't see this too often where a first year coach comes in and really has the team thinking a whole new ideology. I love it. I love what I'm seeing with this. Betters, what should we be looking forward to first and foremost in this game? What are some numbers we should be checking out?
Great comeback by the Bears last week. Congratulations, Chicago. When I was younger than I am here today, back in my youth, I played for a baseball team, and we came back. Every game that we won, we had to make a big comeback, much like the Bears did in their last game. I think they've been kind of doing that all season, if I'm not mistaken. Eventually that fire runs out. Eventually you meet an opponent that's not going to let you come all the way back on them, and I think this is the time, where they meet that brick in the road, that stop sign in the road. The Rams are just too talented. Matt Stafford, great veteran quarterback, still playing great. They got the running game going. Chicago's defense, in my eyes, isn't impressive besides their turnover differential advantage, which is huge. Plus 22 turnover differential advantage. But I we'll get into all of the statistics here pretty soon, but I think this is the time where the Kodiak Bears get stopped.
I I tend to agree with you on this. I really do. I like Sean McVay. That's really what breaks down to me in this matchup is yeah, I think Ben Johnson's smart, but I think Sean McVay is really smart too. Um, and also Ben Johnson gave this team a burr up their butt by talking the trash on one of the McVay coaching tree guys in LaFleur. And that's probably got McVay even jazzed up a little more to coach well against his team. You brought up something about the Rams that I like, and it's Matt Stafford. I like Matt Stafford in this game. He threw for 304 yards against the Panthers. Now, mind you, yes, we can say what we want against the Panthers, but I don't know if anybody else watched that game. The Panthers gave them a game. Okay, the Panthers came to play. Like JB said, the Panthers showed up playing on house money. JB almost correctly predicted their win. They almost had that win against the Rams, but Matthew Stafford still 24 for 42, 304 yards, three touchdowns. He was only sacked once, so the Rams did a good job of protecting him. He was only sacked once, though. And, you know, they got a little bit going on the ground with the run. Kyron Williams had 57 yards and Corum had some bursts here and there with 45 yards total. But I think you might be right, Betters. The magic of this Bear season, you can't keep coming back in the fourth quarter. It's shown time and time again in the past. Caleb Williams may lead the league or be tied for fourth quarter comebacks, but eventually it's going to come back to bite you. JB, what's your thoughts on this matchup, Bears Rams, and the fourth quarter comeback Kings and the Bears?
I think the exact opposite. I think that the magic continues. As long as he's got his fingernails painted the correct color tonight, which we don't know. I
True.
don't think it's been released yet. Um, No. I think it continues. I I don't think the Bears make it to the Super Bowl. No first year coach made it to the Super Bowl yet. I think that streak continues. But I do think that they win this game. Um, Matt Stafford has played out of his mind this year. I'll probably eat my choice. It will probably be the Rams to move on. But I just don't. I'm just gonna go with it. I'm gonna go with Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. The Chiefs went to the Super Bowl last year on Dark Magic. It can happen. They were doing the exact same thing. They were leading the league in fourth quarter, or not fourth quarter comebacks, but one score wins, and everybody was saying, hey, it's got to come to an end, and it does. But I don't think it's yet. Okay. The way that Eric Bieniemy and Ben Johnson have this running game going for Chicago is unreal. This offensive line is retooled and is the best offensive line in the National Football League, guys. Let's be real. Caleb Williams can make all the throws unless he's rolling out to the left. Rolling out to the left for some reason, that guy just can't make the right decision. I just don't know what it is, man. He's got to know when to pull it down and go. They are at home, so I expect the crowd to be, definitely ever so present and make their, presence felt. But I got Chicago in this, man. You got a really talented team, young. Like I said, I think that that they win this game, but that's the end of the road for them.
So, just going to break down some statistics here, like I do with every other game. Overall, I give the Rams a slight passing advantage in this game. No other team has accumulated more passing yards per game this season than the Los Angeles Rams. Now, the Bears are no slouch at accumulating passing yards themselves. They ranked 8th best this season in passing yards per game. So the Rams are better at passing in that regard, and the Rams defense is better at preventing passing yards per game as well. They're not great. The Rams defense ranks 20th in passing yards allowed per game, but the Bears rank 25th in passing yards allowed per game. So overall, I give the Rams a slight passing advantage. And then when it comes to the run, JB mentioned that the Chicago Bears were really good at running the ball this year. He's right. They ranked 3rd in rushing yards per game this season, but the Rams were not terrible at running the ball either. They ranked 8th in rushing yards per game. But the difference here is the defense. The Rams defense ranked 11th in rushing yards allowed per game, whereas the Bears ranked 27th in rushing yards allowed per game. So, overall, I would still give Chicago a slight rushing advantage in this game. And some of that has to do with their play calling style as well. Chicago ranks 22nd in passing play percentage. So they like to call a higher percentage of rushing plays than league average, whereas the Rams like to call a higher percentage of passing plays than league average. But I still would give the Rams a bigger pass. The difference between the Rams passing advantage is greater than the Bears rushing advantage statistically, is what I see here. I would give Chicago a pretty good sized 3rd down conversion advantage, but then I'd give the Rams a big red zone conversion advantage, a good sized red zone attempts per game advantage, a slight sacks on the quarterback advantage, and I already mentioned I'd give Chicago a turnover differential advantage. But I want to go back to the sacks thing, because I heard JB talking about, how the Bears arguably have, or they do have, the best offensive line in the game. And that is the thing that I think the Bears have turned around so much from last season, man. They were one of the most sacked teams last season. And this season, they rank third in sacks allowed per game. But the Rams are good at protecting Stafford. They rank second in sacks allowed per game. So who's been better at sacking the quarterback this season per game? It's been the Rams. They rank ninth in team sacks per game. Chicago ranks 25th. So I'd give the Rams still a slight sacks on the quarterback advantage here. You talked about the experience advantage over there in the other game, Dollface Gremlin. I think the Rams do have the experience advantage in this game with Stafford, Devontae Adams. How many more times is Stafford and Adams going to see the playoffs? They want this really bad. Not only do they want it, but I feel like they have the skill for it too. And it goes beyond those two players, Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, Nakua. This team is loaded. Even Parkinson has, went under the radar and has accumulated 8 receiving touchdowns this season. So, I think overall, I like the Rams here. I talked about big plays in the other game that we just talked about that starts before this one. I do want to mention that Chicago has allowed the 6th most 40-plus yard receiving gains this season and the 2nd most 20-plus yard receiving gains this season. So I would find those guys for the Rams. If your guys are interested in player props, I mean, this is what I would do, right? And see who
Just started to snow in New England. It literally, I'm sitting here watching it. It was raining, and then all of a sudden they came out the tunnel and the snow dropped as soon as they came out of the tunnel. Oh boy.
But yeah, I would look to see, who's getting those 40-plus yard gains here for the Rams. Who's getting the 20-plus yard gains? I can tell you right here, I'm seeing that Puka Nakua, the wide receiver for the Rams, has 3 40-plus yard receiving gains this season and 27 20-plus receiving gains this season. Devontae Adams only has 1 40-plus yard receiving gain and 14 20-plus yard receiving gains. So I think it really comes to no surprise that, Nakua could probably see a good amount of yardage again here in this game today. And the last game the Rams played, I said that I liked Nakua to get into the end zone. Today, I'm having a more of a feeling about Devontae Adams getting into the end zone. What are your guys' thoughts on like touchdown scores in this one? And do you guys think that it's a bigger likelihood for there to be more touchdowns scored in this game than the game, New England and Houston?
Yeah, I do personally, because I think these two defenses are not as good as the defenses we're going to see in the prior game, right? In this first game, you bring up the difference of the line for that has changed for Caleb Williams. And this seriously is a game of two very similar teams. Two teams that are in the top 5 of the least amount of sacks allowed, right? Two
Yeah.
teams that have 2.4 to 2.5 average pocket time. That's tops in the league. The Bears and the Rams being 2 of the top 10 teams that are blitzed the most, hurried the most, and still thrive in the passing game. That's why I think these two guys, this game might be kind of like Seattle yesterday, but 2 teams scoring at a rapid pace. I don't like either defense that much, but I like the passing game. And like you're saying, betters, and like we said before, I like what JB's thinking on the lines of, they're probably going to target the guys who they know are going to make the biggest amount of noise to try and shut them down, like Puka Nakua. So this does seem like a good game for Devontae Adams to show up and be the number 1 target. I could see them completely trying to smother Nakua, but Devontae Adams, and then I like Colby Parkinson too. I like Colby Parkinson when it's past the 40-yard line going towards the end zone a lot.
I want to talk about Devontae Adams a little bit more here, but before I do that, I need to talk about the Rams red zone advantage here. So they rank first. No other team gets into the red zone more than the Los Angeles Rams per game. They rank first in that category. And Chicago is below average at preventing their opponents from entering the red zone. Chicago ranks 20th in red zone attempts per game. So just in that aspect, the data is telling me that the Rams will have plenty of red zone opportunities in this game. And then we have to look at, are the Rams converting touchdowns when they enter the red zone? Yes, they rank 7th best in the NFL in red zone conversion percentage, and that's just counting touchdowns, not field goals. And then Chicago's below average in preventing their opponents from scoring touchdowns when their opponents enter the red zone. The Bears rank 20th in opponent red zone conversion rate. Now, Devontae Adams ranks 3rd in the entire NFL in red zone targets this season, only behind Amon-Ra St. Brown and Trey McBride. And Devontae Adams has scored at least one touchdown in 8 out of 17 regular season games against Chicago. So he's played them plenty of times throughout history. I just like to look at that type of stuff as well. And with Nacua, I mean, I want to look at Puka Nacua's game log real quick. He has had a touchdown in the past 5 out of 6 games that he's played in, you know. So I'm thinking there will be a lot of attention on him, not just trying to prevent him from getting yards, but getting touchdowns. Devontae Adams hasn't had a touchdown in three weeks. That's the longest streak he's had this season, this football year, without a touchdown. So I think he's hungry, man, and I like his chances to get in today. I don't know if I mentioned this, but that is where Chicago is most vulnerable relative to other teams in the league in allowing touchdowns to that wide receiver position. They rank 2nd worst in the NFL in receiving touchdowns allowed to wide receivers. So I think there is a good chance, nothing's guaranteed, but I think there's a good chance for Devontae Adams to find the end zone at least one time in this game. And then, we can look at some other areas here where Chicago is weak. The next biggest positional flaw that they have in allowing touchdowns is going to be the receiving touchdowns allowed to running backs. Now, Chicago may have allowed more rushing touchdowns to quarterbacks, but relative to other teams in the league, their next biggest flaw is going to be receiving touchdowns allowed to running backs. So Kyron Williams, he has I think there's a bigger chance that Kyron Williams gets in the end zone by a receiving touchdown than a rushing touchdown, simply because Chicago ranks 8th best in rushing touchdowns allowed to running backs, but receiving touchdowns allowed to running backs, they rank 4th worst. Kyron Williams has 3 receiving touchdowns this season. I would kind of like to look at, Kyron Williams red zone targets. Maybe I'm kind of browsing it here. He's the 3rd. He ranks 3rd on the Rams in red zone targets, behind Nacua, who's 2nd, or excuse me, 4th, guys. Behind Nacua, who's 3rd. Believe it or not, Parkinson is 2nd, and then it's Devontae Adams who ranks 1st. So yeah, I think Kyron Williams receiving touchdown is possible here as well. I see him doing that more than a rushing touchdown. And then the next biggest flaw I see with Chicago's defense relative to other teams in the league is going to be rushing touchdowns allowed to quarterbacks. Now, Matt Stafford, I don't believe he has a rushing touchdown this season. So that would be more of a long shot. I mean, we've seen long shots hit throughout the playoffs so far. So it could happen again here. And then just for good measure, Stafford has had a rushing touchdown in 2 out of 22 regular season games against Chicago. So he's done it before, But JB, who are you naturally feeling like is going to score today for the Rams, if anybody?
Now that you said how the Bears give up second worst, I think Puka's gonna eat. I like the Devontae thing too. Veteran wide receiver in the playoffs. Obviously those are no-brainers, right? Puka, Devontae. I'm gonna go with Parkinson's.
Okay, yeah.
Gremlin said, I like it. I also like Higbee, as a good red zone threat. He's been kind of quiet though, but they got another guy, or is that Parkinson? Who? Hold on a second.
Yeah, it's Colby
Because-
Parkinson and Higbee, the two biggie tight ends they use.
Okay, so Parkinson. So there's another guy, I think.
Yeah, Davis Allen.
About to look.
Or is it Ferguson?
It might be. I'm looking real quick. Okay, so Higbee. It is Fergie. Is it Colby? Puka? Nah, dude. Look, I think Fergie might be a little too far out there. I don't know though. People like Mumpfield last week, and I think he scored.
Yeah, and he's
plus 1,700 right now.
And he's a wide receiver. If I were to go with a sleepy player in this one, it'd be somebody like Mumpfield, who has shown me he could score earlier in the season. And that's where Chicago's most vulnerable at allowing touchdowns.
Yeah, I
to
like
that
that.
wide receiver position.
Or Tutu Atwell. Tutu Atwell is plus 2,200.
Yeah, Tutu Atwell, dude, he can pick up long touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
And I mentioned earlier that Chicago has allowed the 6th most 40-plus yard receiving gains as a defense. So I do think there is big play capability for Tutu today. Absolutely, man. I think that's probably the way I would go.
Dude, that'd be fire if somebody hit that. That's plus 2,200. Imagine if you put Tutu and Mumfield on a ticket and they both hit. Plus 2,200. What is that? Plus 1,700 and plus 22. You're looking at plus 42. 40. Oh my god. Holy shit. You put $10 down and you hit $4,204. 35 cents.
Be a long shot, right? But
yeah.
It's possible. I do just want to talk about Odunze real quick, guys. Wide receiver for the Chicago Bears. He is listed as questionable in this game with a foot issue. I would definitely keep up to date with that information if you're interested in this one, guys. And then the weather. Okay. I'm going to refresh the same source that I looked at for the Houston and New England game. And it's rotogrinders.com/weather/NFL. So Rams at Bears. It's really, really cold is what they're saying. Actual temperatures should be in the teens with feel-like temperatures in the single digits. There is some wind in the Windy City. Wind, 10 to 15 mile per hour gusts. Excuse me, sustained winds around 10 to 15 miles per hour with gusts around 20 to 25 miles per hour. And some people may think, well, what does that mean? How much does that affect you know, a football when it's being thrown? And I don't necessarily want to like look up all that information right here, but if you guys have a search engine or something, uh, you could find that information pretty easily. And then they're saying as of right now, they're not considering winds to be a big problem, but it may be an issue on those longer field goals. And then it's going to snow in this game, is what I'm seeing here too. Not as much as it is going to in that New England game, but it's going to snow, is what they're saying. So those are two things worth keeping up to date with: the snow, winds, and then Odunze's availability. And even if Odunze is available, will he have any limitations? Will he have any, will he have a snap count? So, JB or Dollface Gremlin, who do you guys feel like needs to step up in a big way for this for this Bears offense?
One guy who they kind of utilized last week, which I think they could get the ball to more, is Luther Burden. Um, Burden ripped off a 25-yard long catch last week. I think they can utilize him if Odunze is really, back to the wall here. He cannot play. So that would be someone that I would look at. I would also look at Zacchaeus. You gotta start using some of these guys when you're put in different situations, especially when you have focus on your dynamic running backs like Swift and Monongai and Komet and Loveland. You have two good tight ends. They're gonna get focused. DJ Moore, of course. So if they could get Olamide involved, I think the Bears might have a good, favorable chance of doing something good in this game. That's the two I would try and focus on if you're not successful, if Odunze is unable and Moore isn't playing up to expectations.
What are we thinking, JB?
I totally agree with the Zaki, or not Zacchaeus, but Burton. I thought the last 2 weeks he was going to be more of a threat and more of an
Who
option.
JB Burden?
Yeah. Than what they used him for the last 2 weeks. So I would kind of expect them to kind of utilize him this week, or try to. Especially with it being the divisional round. I mean, Loveland, guys. Loveland, and I think needs to come up big and work on with those receptions. He had some pretty key drops last week, if I remember correctly. As well as I would be looking at DJ Moore to have a big game. Okay. I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong. I think he's gonna be he's up somebody said something about a Bears fan expect him to be gone next year. Whether he's gonna be traded, what it may be, I don't know if it's contract, or maybe a little bit of both. So if, with that being said, in the playoffs, maybe kind of working towards, a contract or whatnot, I would kind of expect DJ Moore to kind of step up.
Yeah, DJ Moore is signed through 2029. He signed an extension in July of 2024.
That's weird that somebody said that. I think the only reason being that they say that is because of the younger guys that have stepped up this year. Love, Flynn, Zacchaeus, Burden.
You got Odunze. DJ Moore is kind of the odd man and old man out. I know they signed him, but I don't think that they were really expecting these guys to emerge the way that they have. I mean, Burden's been tearing up. Zaki has been doing really good. Manangai,
Well, no
another
guy.
another 7th round running back from that played behind Pacheco from Rutgers. Raid races, running raid races, receiving raid races, rushing from Rutgers. That shit used to be sick. Me and Better. She used to sit there and play Madden.
Who used to say that, man?
You did. You
But
raid
no, but I think it was Chris
races.
Berman.
Yeah, he raid races,
running for the
raid races, rushing, raid races,
He was mumbling and
receiving.
rumbling and
He goes, raid races, running, raid races, his raid races, running, raid races, rushing, raid races, receiving. All the rumbling, stumbling, rumbling. Yeah, though. Shout out Chris Berman. Bro, Manungai, man. I think Manungai needs to have a big game as well. I like Manungai.
Which one player, JB, just needs to absolutely be locked in for the Bears, do you say?
One player that needs to be locked in is Caleb Williams. People are going to say this receiver, that receiver, this running back, that running back. I think.
No, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right about that. The quarterback here yesterday with Seattle, it didn't have to be Darnold, right? But I think today it does have to somewhat fall on Caleb Williams' shoulders here. Look, the Bears, they like to, like I mentioned, call a higher percentage of rushing plays than league average. But, the Rams' rushing yards allowed per game ranks better than what they rank passing yards allowed per game. And Chicago's good at both aspects, running and passing, accumulating those yards. But the Rams are more vulnerable at allowing those passing yards. So that's why I really think it comes down to, Caleb Williams' play here today. He should see time to work out of the pocket, considering how well Chicago's been protecting him this season. And, I mean, I could really see if the Bears are down late in this game, I really could see another comeback here just based on the passing yards allowed per game by the Rams. And that doesn't mean that I think that the Rams are going to lose there at the end. I still think the Rams are going to get the win today. But I would not be surprised to see, Caleb Williams shine in those late moments again. As far as Chicago's running game, just keep doing what you guys are doing.
Yeah, they got the best running game in the
Defense.
NFL.
Defense, create those turnovers if you can. You got that turnover differential advantage. If you don't have that today, it's going to be tough for you to come away with this win. I think Chicago is going to need to win that turnover differential advantage. Then I just want to talk about maybe some flaws here with the Rams defense. I'm seeing that relative to other teams in the league, the Rams are most vulnerable to wide receiver touchdowns and tight ends receiving touchdowns. So if you guys out there like any Chicago wide receivers or tight ends scoring touchdowns, you have that working for you. DJ Moore leads this team out of the receiving corps with seven touchdowns. And then it's Odunze with 6, Loveland with 6, Swift is actually the leader with 9. And then, so I could see, Loveland. I think I heard somebody mention him, JB. I could see Loveland getting in today, and then possibly a DJ Moore, Odunze. And if you wanted to get a little bit sleepier, right? Maybe Zacchaeus. I think Dollface Gremlin brought up his name, so I could see Zacchaeus possibly getting there. He's had 2 this season. Now, when I'm looking at, I haven't had time to look at all of the historical data, but what I can tell you is that DJ Moore has scored a touchdown in 1 out of 3 regular season games against the Rams. Odunze did not score a touchdown in his only regular season game against the Rams. And then Swift, who's the running back for the Bears, has scored at least a touchdown in 2 out of 3 regular season games against the Rams. And then, I mean, who do you guys if you haven't mentioned already, who do you feel like can score a touchdown? Who would be your favorite touchdown scorer for the Bears today? I think mine is going to have to be Odunze, only because he's questionable to play. I like to, whenever these guys are questionable, I feel like the general public overlooks these players. I don't know if we were talking about how Dalton Kincaid has been walking around in a boot a little bit. I think JB was saying that that's not really an injury; it's just kind of his somewhat of his routine. But Odunze has a questionable tag on him, so as of right now, that's who I like to score for the Bears today. And if not him, I would have to say Loveland.
Yeah, I like Loveland and Loveland and Manangay. This is my picks for Chicago.
Yeah, with to not drag it, I do think Loveland, but I'll go Cole Kmet since they are the Rams defense is susceptible to tight end touchdowns in the red zone, and also Luther Burden. I think Burden's gonna could get a score today.
Yeah, and that's a sleepier player, right? Cole Kmet, second string tight end there for Chicago. A lot of eyes on this game. A lot of people are going to be thinking Loveland, so I could see Cole Kmet getting in there too, man. I mean, I like to look at everything. I don't like the fact that Kmet doesn't have a touchdown in 3 regular season games against the Rams, all 3 regular season games that he's played against them. I don't know if he's played them in the playoffs throughout history or not, but I could see that him breaking that streak tonight as well, man. So, and then just another aspect that I wanted to look at, and I didn't really see a big advantage on this. Sean Hockley is the referee, the head ref in this game tonight. I see that the Rams have a 5-3 record when Sean Hockley is the referee. The Bears have a 2-1 record when Hockley's the referee. I didn't look at against the spread trends and home team win percentage or anything like that. But that information could be advantageous. In this game tonight, if you guys feel like you can see, find if the referee tends to lean one way or another for home teams or against home teams. Or if, I think you brought up a stat yesterday, Dollface Gremlin, about how there was a quarterback. I think it was Josh Allen, right? Or somebody brought it up how that referee yesterday was 5-0 with Josh Allen.
Yeah,
when he played games, and then look what happens. I've been seeing that these big streaks have been getting snapped lately. We talked about it yesterday. Pittsburgh's, I'm sorry to bring this up again, Dollface Gremlin. Pittsburgh's Monday Night Football streak recently just ended. They had won something crazy, 30-something
30,
Monday Night Football games in a row, and that got snapped. And It just seems like there's been a lot of that going on this season, where teams haven't lost to this team in 10 or 20 games, and it's happening. And I think I might have some sort of reasoning for that, but I don't want to get into all that. Long story short, should be a great game tonight. I'm looking forward to it. I do. I know that's kind of general, and people say I think this is going to be a great game, right? I don't necessarily think the Houston and New England. It just really depends on what you define great. I guess what I'm saying is that I expect it to be a competitive game tonight. I expect the game between the Rams and the Bears to be more competitive than the game with Houston and New England. You already know I went with New England to win that one 31-13 against Houston today. I do expect this game, Rams and Bears, to be a little bit more competitive. I could see it coming down to the last minutes again here, guys. What are you guys thinking for final score predictions?
Wow. This game, I'm excited to watch this game more so than I am the Patriots Texans game.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with you. I think this game is going to be a little bit more opened up. We might see a little bit more scoring. It might be kind of more akin to the Bills Broncos game yesterday, right, where it's back and forth a little. I think the magic is going to run out for the Bears this game. Unfortunately, for all you Bears fans out there, it's not all love, but I think the Rams finally edged them out. I do think it is going to come down to the second half. It's going to be offense, offense, offense. 33-30 Rams over the Bears.
It's a good prediction there. JB, what do you think?
The cardiac kids stay alive for one more week. Yeah, I say that Caleb Williams, they might be down early on, but they come back late in the game, end of the third, fourth. Thinking like I don't know, 28 to 30. No, 30 to 28 Bears. Yeah. Bears.
They said some snow in this one, some possible winds. I do agree with you that these defenses are not as good as the one in the game here coming up first, Houston and New England. And really, the offenses may be even better for both of these teams, Chicago and the Rams and the other two. And I don't know how this game goes under, but I'm going to say it goes under. Give me 23 to 20 Rams.
Yep. And any of you naysayers out there remember who want to say the snow is going to affect the Rams, please remember the game against the Eagles last year. They only lost by 6 points. It's 28-22. That was a snowy game. They performed very well. So I think the Rams, I don't think snow affects this team like a lot of other warm weather teams that we see. You know, it's not like the Dolphins. This is going to be I'm excited for this game. I'm excited to see who's going to go meet Seattle in the NFC Championship.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, man.
Well, with that, guys, I want you one more time. Thank you for joining us, but also go take a look at our sponsors. We do have some kick-ass sponsors who work with us who can help you out as well. BetUS, MyBookie.ag, our NFL shop, our MLB shop, our Walmart shop, W Energy Drinks. With MyBookie.ag, you use Not Moved, you're going to get possibly up to 100% towards your first wager there. And then W Energy Drinks, hey man, put the Not Move promo code in there and you're going to get some towards your W Energy drink order. Also, check out our links. We've got some sweet swag in our store that people have already purchased. They've told us it's comfortable, it feels good, it looks good. So everybody, please do yourself a favor. Go check out our Not Move swag. It is comfy, it is nice. And I got some on the way. I know JB's got some on the way. We all got some on the way
Oh
because
yeah.
we are not moved and it is comfy. The stuff is good looking too. Go in there, check out JB's Chief jersey. Go check out Coach's Steeler jersey in our
We
store.
got
It's
a
all good looking
gremlin. We
swag.
got more coming. We got more on the way. Ready to drop, guys.
So thank you guys for joining us today. And hey, like we said, pay attention to what my man Betters here is doing. He's looking at all the numbers, all the angles to make sure you guys are getting filled in properly to make your wagers. We got our boy Southgate. Always check out Southgate's ballets. He's going to get you the best one possible. And then always follow JB's got the games on TikTok. He's going to be streaming it. There's 2 rooms you can watch, one without talking and one where all the not moved people are. We're all having a good conversation, trying to have fun. So please stick with us. Be not moved. Good luck today, guys. Let's watch some football.
Not moved.
This non-casual podcast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or reused without the authorized written consent of the Not Move Podcast Network. Thank you, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.